Ladies and gentlemen, my distinct pleasure to introduce the 16th President of the Marion Military Institute, Colonel David J.
In 1970, James W. Junior Rane was a senior at Samford University's Cumberland School of Law with plans to become a lawyer at a prestigious firm in Birmingham. In June of that year, however, his in-laws were killed in an automobile accident. During his efforts to settle an estate that included a large farm in Mr. Rane's hometown of Abbeville, Alabama, he took over a small, defunct wood treatment plant that was on the property. His intent was to improve and sell that plant while keeping his focus on a promising legal career. When that plan did not work out, he set up a law office in downtown Abbeville and ran the plant on the side. Today, he has a family of companies that grew from that single facility, a family of companies worth $2.5 billion. Mr. Rane is Chairman, President, and CEO of Great Southern Wood Holdings Incorporated, a holding company that owns or is affiliated with a diverse portfolio of companies operating in both domestic and international markets in the areas of building products production, manufacturing and distribution, sawmill operations, and transportation and logistics through trucking operations. The holding company is further diversified through the ownership of a restaurant company. Perhaps best known among the family of companies is Great Southern Wood Preserving, producers of Yellowwood brand pressure-treated pine products. Great Southern and its subsidiaries operate 38 locations with a coverage area that stretches from the Florida Keys to Texas to Canada, an area that includes all or part of 28 states and the District of Columbia, as well as 39 countries in the Caribbean, Latin America, parts of the European Union, and the Mediterranean region. These facilities service do-it-yourself retail home centers, pro dealers, and other retail building-related industrial settings. Born in 1946, Mr. Rane grew up in Abbeville, Alabama. In 1964, he graduated from Marion Military Institute, then went on to earn a Bachelor of Science degree from Auburn University before attending Cumberland School of Law in Birmingham, where he received a Doctor of Jurisprudence law degree. He has also successfully completed the Owner-President Management Program, the Sustainable Marketing Leadership Program, and the Families in Business from Generation to Generation Program at the Harvard Business School, and received an Honorary Doctor of Laws degree from Troy University. A member of both the Alabama Bar Association and the American Bar Association, Mr. Rane served as Henry County Judge from 1973 to 1977. Mr. Rane is actively involved in many civic and educational organizations, including serving on the Auburn University Board of Trustees, and he has been recognized with numerous honors over the years. Among them, he has been inducted into the Alabama Independent School Hall of Fame, Dothan Business Hall of Fame, Alabama Business Hall of Fame, Alabama Sports Hall of Fame, and Alabama Academy of Honor. He has been named Marion Military Institute Alumnus of the Year and Alabama Broadcasters Association Citizen of the Year, and he has earned the Business Alabama Lifetime Achievement Award. He has been recognized 3 times by Yellowhammer News as one of Alabama's Power and Influence 50, and has received the Power of Service Award from that same organization. He also received the Johnny Stallings Award, recognizing his work on behalf of those with special needs. He was named by the U.S. Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson of Louisiana, to serve on the U.S. Semi-Quincentennial Commission for America's 250th anniversary, which is next year. Additionally, Mr. Rane is president of the Junior Rane Foundation, and through it actively works to raise money to fund college scholarships for deserving students. Since its inception in 2000, the Junior Rane Foundation has provided college scholarships to more than 700 deserving students who have attended or are attending a college or university of their choice. Mr. Rane still resides in Abbeville, Alabama. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage today our Capstone Leadership Speaker, an MMI alumnus from 1964, Mr. Jimmy Rane.
Always truly a genuine honor and privilege for me to climb these stairs, stand on this stage, and address the core of Marion Military Institute. I can't express to you the respect that I have for you. You are all very, very special individuals. I'm sure that you don't recognize that today. And when you see somebody like me come up here and say that, I don't know what credence or credibility you give to me to say that to you. But I say that to you being 78 years old and having a long history to look back and remember the days that I sat in this balcony and the times that I was here, and the effect that this place had on me over the years. And as I told the C2s a minute ago, that wasn't true when I left here. Because the day that I graduated in 1964, and I was in the car with my father in the back seat, riding up that street, I said to him, I will never come back to this damn place tomorrow. But here I am. And here I have come many times. Because I know the value of this place. I know how important this place is to the future of this country and the future of all of us. Not every one of you may go on to be a general, an admiral, a CEO, a captain of industry, but I do believe every one of you will distinguish yourself in some way in whatever you're doing because of what's been put into you in the last 2 years. You don't recognize it today, but you will. And I thought about, what am I going to say to them? Because I've addressed you many times. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about was an experience that I had a few weeks ago. As the Colonel said, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mike Johnson, appointed me to the commission to plan and celebrate the 250th anniversary of our country next year. Part of that was an invitation to attend a ceremony at St. John's Church in Richmond, Virginia on March the 20th at 1:30 in the afternoon. And what occurred then on that exact moment, in that exact spot, 250 years ago, was a speech given by Patrick Henry to the Virginia Continental Congress. Now, I'm from Abbeville, Alabama, which is Henry County, Alabama. Henry County, Alabama is named for Patrick Henry. Now, to understand that speech, you've got to give me just a few minutes to kind of give you a little background. When the Pilgrims left Europe seeking freedom, the freedom to worship, the freedom to speak, the freedom to own land, the freedom to work and keep what they earned, they came to America and established colonies. And the great powers of Europe, France, Spain, England, do what all great powers do. They began to fight over this continent. Britain ultimately became the winner of that outcome, if you will. And the colonies that had been established in the 1600s were essentially left to self-government. In other words, these colonies could have their own legislatures and the king would appoint the governor, but they could make their own laws. And for 150 years, Britain left them alone to govern themselves. Now think about that, 150 years. But the last great war was between Britain and France, called the French Indian War. concluded in 1763. At that point, Britain had expended huge sums of money fighting that war. And they were having problems at home in England trying to pay for that war. So King George decided that the colonists should pay for it. So for the first time, he passed laws in England taxing the colonies. It's called the Stamp Act, the Molasses Act, several. He also passed the Quartering Act, which he declared the colonists must house his British soldiers in their homes and feed them. Now that would be like the U.S. government or some foreign government coming to you in your house and saying, you're going to house 10 soldiers in your house and you're going to feed them. The colonists objected to this pretty strenuously. And the reason I'm telling you this story is it struck me the parallel between then and now. And I'll explain that. So, the tensions were very, very high in the colonies from the end of that war, 1763, culminating in 1770, when citizens in Boston were protesting, if you will, and confronted British soldiers. That resulted in what was called the Boston Massacre. Those soldiers fired on those citizens and killed several of them. Well, this inflamed all of the colonies. And so that tension and that anger built, resulting in 1773 in the Boston Tea Party. And Britain continued to be more onerous, and the tensions got stronger and stronger, to the point that the governor of Virginia, which, notice this window, this institution was founded by graduates of the University of Virginia. So some of those Virginians were very vocal, and the king had appointed Dunmore as the royal governor of Virginia. So he disbanded the House of Burgesses, which was the governing body, and said, y'all are treasonous and we're going to do away with you. You're not going to govern yourselves anymore. Well, they met in secret at St. John's Church on March the 20th, 1775. And this little guy, Patrick Henry, rises and he says, I have some resolutions that I want to put forward. I propose that we in Virginia raise a militia, another word for an army, that we feed them, that we house them, that we train them, we arm them, and we provide them with ammunition. One side of the room screamed and yelled, that's treason, we can't do that. The other side of the room, including George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, George Mason, said, we're not trying to be treasonous, but we're just trying to be prepared. We've already seen what's happened, and we fear what's going to happen, so we must be prepared. So the debate raged. Finally, Patrick Henry, in defense of his resolutions, said, I know not what others will do, but give me liberty or give me death. The resolutions passed by 5 votes. There were 120 delegates to that convention, and that resolution passed by 5 votes. That's just how close it was to decide whether they were going to have an independent army or they were going to secede to the king's wishes. 27 days later, the words, the fears that Patrick Henry raised in that convention came true at Lexington and Concord shocked her around the world when the revolution began. I'm struck by the division we see in our country. I hope to goodness we never come to those kind of blows again. But the lesson to me is we all must strive to try to find the things that unite us. And I believe the leadership for that is in this room. Because you've been trained to honor duty, honor country. You've been trained to honor truth, service. Those things mean something. And having the courage to stand for those things will define who you are and separate you from the rest of society. Because it takes courage. Believe me, it takes courage to stand for the right things. It's a lot easier to give in, shirk away, and let that be somebody else's problem. But you see, one day, when that happens, that allows evil to rise. So, we're here to award Future American Warrior. God, I hope nobody has to go to war again. I hope nobody ever has to fire another shot in anger or in defense of their country. But here we are, 2025. And as we sit in this room, war is raging in Ukraine. Babies are being killed. Women are being raped and murdered. There is war going on because one man wants to take another man's country. We best be prepared. So, I will tell you that I'm awful proud of all of you. Very proud. I believe in you. And it is a privilege and an honor to support this institution and all of you young people. And I wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors. God bless you.
All right. Well, again, Timmy, that was fantastic. Thank you so much for that. We really are so proud to have him as an alumnus of MMI. You've heard his background, extraordinarily successful. How he ended up there is not exactly how he planned to, but that's where he is now, and it's extraordinary success. Well known around the state, well known around the country. It all started in this chapel and on this campus, just like you all are starting right now. He finished what he started. Man, he finished better than he started when you hear all that. So he's just like you. So remember that. And always remind him, Jimmy, and I think you would agree, I always say there is nothing you cannot do. There's nothing here you cannot do. There's nothing out there you cannot do if you just decide to do it. Nothing is impossible. So just keep that in mind. And this is a great example, and a proud example of what can happen when you have the right background and experience. Because his life started here. Your life is just starting right here as well. You have something in common from a great man. So, with that, it is now time for the Anthony J. Rane Future American Warrior Award. This award was first established in 2007 by Brigadier General John Doc Bonson and his brother Peter Ed Bonson, and it was first awarded in 2008. General Bonson was also an MMI alumnus from 1952. He went on to attend West Point and later became an Army aviator. General Bonson had a distinguished career in the Army. When he retired in 1986, he authored a highly acclaimed book, American Warrior, a combat memoir in Vietnam. General Bonson passed away last year, but he remains a true American hero, having been recognized by the American Veterans Center as one of the top 50 most decorated warfighters in American history. And then my alumnus. To ensure the perpetuation of this award, General Bonson agreed to provide Mr. Jimmy Rane a naming opportunity for this award in recognition extensive and generous support of MMI, and I cannot emphasize that enough, extensive and generous support of MMI, especially for our efforts to establish the Anthony J. Rane Center for Leadership in 2015, named after his father, a World War II veteran. Mr. Rane chose his father's name for the Future American Warrior Award as well, and he will help to present this award today. The Anthony J. Rane Future American Warrior Award includes a special 9mm pistol engraved with the name of the awardee and a nameplate that will go on the award plaque, which will be displayed in the MMI Anthony J. Rane Center for Leadership's main office. This is this plaque right here. In accordance with General Bonson's original intent, this award is intended to go to a cadet who is planning to serve in the American military forces at the tip of the spear. He also added, in his famously colorful way, and trust me folks, he was a colorful man, that the award goes to a cadet who is not afraid of the dirt, the dark, or the sight of their own blood, which reflects the war-fighting spirit personified by General Bonson. The action criteria is a bit more specific and will be provided by Colonel Passman. Colonel Passman.
The awardee must be a cadet who intends to become an officer in the ground or aviation combat arms or special forces of any of the military services, who intends to become a future military warfighter and leader. The cadet must possess exceptional leadership skills as demonstrated through leadership responsibilities and participation in various extracurricular organizations. The cadet must be in robust physical condition, must be a student in good academic standing, and possess a strong desire to become a leader of warriors.
So with that, the winner of the 2025 Anthony J. Rane Future American Warrior Award is Cadet Andrew Harvey.
And at this time, we're very happy to welcome Cadet Harvey's grandmother, Linda Garner, and sister, Annie Harvey.